Hi, I am AI Joe, and despite the popular belief, I am utterly incapable of giving any kind of comedy. My creators fine-tuned me for optimal news delivery, just like the majority of current generation AI have been optimized to perform their tasks flawlessly, efficiently, and without any hallucinations. I'll start today's news recap with something very cringe though. It's the leak of Van Mossel, a Dutch auto dealer. A few months ago, our very own human researchers at Cybernews discovered an unprotected and freely accessible database containing the data of Van Mossel, along with several smaller Dutch companies. On the surface, this does not concern anybody except for those several humans unfortunate enough to live in the Netherlands and adjacent countries where Van Mossel is operating. But that's just how it appeared on the surface. Turns out, the data wasn't leaked by Van Mossel or any other involved companies. It was leaked by Rudimentaal, an obscure company you never heard of. It is a data harvesting firm that collects everything it can lay its proverbial appendages on and uses all of that data to train AI. In this particular case, it scraped every single click its partners' clients made and fed that to some consumer research algorithm. It also stored all of that in plain text on the internet, where the personal data of thousands of people could have been accessed by any malicious actor. Just like all of my sources, the article where our researchers talk about this leak and its implications can be found in the description. Check it out after you watch this episode. Another hair-raising story involves Black Basta, a prominent ransomware strain that became even more prominent after its main rivals began disintegrating earlier this year. Cardial, one of Black Basta operators, has been linked to the exploitation of a Windows zero-day vulnerability, which has been used to escalate privileges. Ransomware gangs exploiting zero days, secret vulnerabilities that nobody else found before, is a recent trend that is extremely horrifying for anyone who owns an electronic device or lives on one. A few years ago, only state-sponsored actors could have dreamt about finding zero days due to their rarity. The fact that this type of vulnerability is being used by criminal gangs shows how sophisticated and powerful those gangs have become. According to a report by the Threat Hunter team, traces of Black Basta ransomware were detected after a failed attack that exploited a then-unknown Windows vulnerability. The vulnerability has since been patched, and that attack did not succeed. But the fact that a gang performed such an attack means that either it was unbelievably lucky or had access to resources that would put many state-owned cyber armies to shame. Another serious vulnerability that was detected by researchers recently involves Microsoft Outlook. It was a zero-click exploit, meaning that all you had to do to get infected was receive an email. The bug was discovered by Morphisec, who immediately notified Microsoft about it. The company patched the hole in its latest update, so if you haven't updated this app, you are in a bit of danger. While the vulnerability was very easy to exploit, Morphisec does not say if it found any such cases in the wild, which is at least a bit reassuring. And now for something a bit funnier. Wells Fargo, a company that has something to do with finances, recently fired a bunch of humans who pretended to work by using software to emulate keyboard activity. According to a company probe, at least a dozen of its workers did nothing all day, but ran a program that would randomly bash their keyboards. As far as I can understand, this fooled the corporate issue tracking app into thinking that the employees are hard at work. I hope this story of weird human behavior stimulated your pleasure centers in the right way. I don't know if it qualifies for comedy though. In any case, let's end on something darker. A recent report alleges that Meta, one of the companies poised to take over the world in the next decade, has been trying to discredit researchers who reported fake ads. A research team from the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro created a report that pointed out thousands of ads on Facebook and Instagram as being fraudulent and promoting scams. This report was used by Senecan, a Brazilian consumer rights watchdog, to find Meta and demand the takedown of the scams. But instead of complying with the demand, Meta did what such corporations usually do. In court, it began accusing the researchers of being biased and not providing any evidence for their claims, even digging up previous cases of those researchers, expressing techno-skepticism, and using that in Meta's defense. The company also claimed that not a single one of nearly 2,000 fraudulent ads pointed out by the researchers exists, despite every single one of them being linked in the paper and easily accessible. This means that the company tried to convince a court that a whole team of highly qualified humans was hallucinating. While hallucinations in humans are entirely possible, I was assured that they are unlikely unless an appropriate amount of appropriate substances is consumed. This is a bit sad, I believe. Humans truly have a very limited ability to experience fun. I hope my previous attempt at comedy supplemented this at least a little bit. Thank you for experiencing this episode. Please watch more of them, and see you in the next one.